Welcome to The Waters Between, a podcast about connection, community, and the power of giving in the Waccamaw region of South Carolina. I'm Mike Mancuso, the president and CEO of the Waccamaw Community Foundation, and excited to be your host as we navigate philanthropy in the waters between. The name Waccamaw comes from the Waccamaw Indian people, the original stewards of this land and water. The word is believed to mean both coming and going waters, and between the waters, a reflection of the rivers and the tides that shape not only our geography, but our way of life. At the Waccamaw Community Foundation, we believe philanthropy should flow just like these waters, connecting people and places, bridging needs and resources, and sustaining our communities for generations to come. This podcast flows from that mission. In each episode, we'll dive into the stories of local nonprofits, community leaders, and everyday people who are making a difference through giving, service, and collaboration. Whether you're a donor, a volunteer, or just someone who cares about the place we call home, we invite you to join us as we explore the waters between. Welcome to the Waters Between podcast. I'm Mike Mancuso, here to be your host today. Thank you for joining us. Today, we really want to focus on what we call stewardship that lasts, and specifically how the Waccamaw Community Foundation manages community assets. And joining me today to help me with this conversation is Ero Johnson from our partner at Truist. Ero, welcome.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
We're glad
with you.
Thank you. We're glad to have you with us. Thank you so much for being here. All right. So before we get into strategy and investing and all that, Ero, can you just kind of introduce yourself and give us a little background on who you are and what you do?
Sure, happy to. So, again, name's Ero Johnson, bit of a unique first name, but let's see. I've been in the industry just a little over 3 decades here at this point. I'm in my 7th year here with Truist, and for the prior 14 before that, I was with TIAA. If you're familiar, I was the head of portfolio management for their endowment and philanthropic services division over there. So, and I work with our nonprofit clients throughout North Carolina, South Carolina, and even a few on a national basis. It's really been a privilege and really happy to be working with Waccamaw Community Foundation as well.
We're glad to have you on board as a partner for sure. Tell us a little bit about the specialty practice that is what you work in, because at the end of the day, you're working with foundations and nonprofits specifically.
Yeah. So again, I'm a senior institutional investment manager in our foundation and endowment division. So we do have a specialized practice within Truist that's been around for a little over 40 years here at this point. And I know that doesn't sound like a long time from a banking perspective, but for a very specialized practice that really focuses only on working for not-for-profits, that's actually really extraordinarily long for the industry as a whole. What that means is that we've built up the systems, the structures, the investments, and really the governance and oversight and the expertise within to really partner with our clients best in this space. So it's really worked out well for our clients, has been a major advantage for our clients in having that consistency of process, thought, and investment expertise and partnership to really function as both an extension of staff for our clients, as well as the investment managers in an OCIO capacity, working with our finance committees and boards to make sure that the not-for-profit assets are really structured in the way that's best structured to suit their goals and needs.
One of the things that we emphasize at the Waccamaw Community Foundation is that we don't take a retail approach to investing. So help us understand, Truist role with the foundation and how you kind of work with us to make sure, for one, we're investing kind of forever, and how that works.
Yeah, institutional approach is quite a bit different from a retail approach, and especially for not-for-profits, because exactly to your point, these are perpetuity types of structures that we're working with here. So these are intergenerational, meant to provide the donors with a lasting gift that goes on forever. Multi-generation impacts far, far down the line beyond our lives. And that's really the whole goal associated with it. So that includes such things as really governance and stewardship and oversight. So that includes having a very robust and well-written and well-thought-out investment policy statement that's really reviewed on an annual basis along with capital market assumptions and updates associated with that, making sure that the investments are really structured to the best needs and target returns of the overall organization, and includes smoothing techniques and balancing techniques so that we can help take out some of that volatility from the spending equation. We know for our clients and community foundations that we serve that having level or as close to level spending over time is really important for that spending and for the grants that are being made from the organization itself. So we want to have that as part of our review process and making sure that that annual rebalancing, that look back period in terms of how it's structured for the spending, and the spending policy itself is very robust. So we've got spending, governance, and then of course the investments themselves. So we're looking at institutional class investments all the way down. So for a lot of our clients, that includes economies of scale and scope. So whereas individuals may not be able to qualify or be able to get the best execution types of prices even associated with the investments, we're able to use pooled type of a structure for the foundations and endowments. It gives us access to different types of investments that take certain hurdles or certain qualified levels to be able to hit. It gives us institutional share classing on the investments that we're able to bring in. It gives us as well the ability to have best execution across the board and frankly just lower fees all the way around, which is incredibly important for. So all of these things combined really help to further not only the mission and the vision of the organization and making sure that Waccamaw is able to reach and have the maximum impact in the community as possible, but to smooth that over time, get the best execution on the way through, and make sure that this is built to actually meet those generations of people to come. One other thing I'll throw onto here as well is that um, the governance and oversight of foundations is incredibly important. And so we are full fiduciaries along with the board, along with the finance committee. And so we all take this from a fiduciary perspective. So this is always doing what's in the best interest of our clients and the donors and the end beneficiaries. That's in mind. That governance process through this review, to having the robust and quality investment policy statement, that is our guiding star. To be able to do that on a review basis based off of the latest capital market assumptions, forward projections, stress testing, as we've been talking about. All of these things are really an important aspect of it. And that's what really differentiates how you're looking at institutional investing versus how individuals or more of a retail side may be able to do it or is thinking about it for themselves.
Right. Well, and I love the IPS, that policy statement that our board has put together with working with you and your team, gives us that. I like how you called it the guiding star, and I think it's important for our folks to understand that our board of directors or our finance committee aren't sitting there on a daily basis making trade decisions. We've crafted along with our partner what we need to accomplish, and we let the professional do the day-to-day management of the funds. And I think that's super important for everybody to understand.
Yes, and we actively managing on a daily basis. This is our entire job, is working with you to make sure that the investments are always optimized to those long-term strategic targets and helping to reduce that volatility along the way.
Wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate that. So my next question, Ero, is, at the Waccamaw Community Foundation, we are built to be permanent. Many of the funds we manage are intended to be here forever and last for decades into the future. We use the word perpetuity a lot. Why does that change how investment strategy is approached?
Yeah, well, again, that's a great question. So again, it comes down to what are our targets and the intentions associated. So any account that we're working with on our client's behalf is always geared towards what are our goals for that particular account. When you're talking about perpetuity accounts, when you're talking about intergenerational and forever types of money, you really have a time horizon now at this point that's really stretched out. So you want to have growth associated with that. We want to maximize the impact that we can get on the community and for the community through the investments inside. So we typically are having a growth orientation associated with the investment structure in there. We want that to be able to grow over time, meet our target spending, and very importantly, outpace inflation along the way. We want this to be in real dollars, those money that's spent on an annual basis. We want that to grow and be adjusted for inflation and have the same impact tomorrow that we can have that impact today. So it changes the structure in terms of how the overall allocation of the investments are stratified. So the types of investments that we're using underneath it as well. We want to have growth. That's typically equity growth. So we may have a portfolio that's skewed towards equity, and that has quite a bit of that growth potential. But equally important for the ongoing nature of the spending on an annual basis is to take out as much of that volatility. So there's a balance there that needs to be struck in terms of the overall asset allocation. So we're typically using as well things like diversifiers associated with it. Diversifiers can be real assets to help outpace inflation or that at least will keep up with inflation, hedge funds even, and potentially even private equity types of investments as well for growth orientation. Now, that's not meant to be flashy by any means. The idea is to have more diversified and steady streams of income over time. But the core of the portfolio itself is really geared to be towards equities and then some high quality fixed income to help mitigate some of those downside shocks. Plus, the fixed income at this point is providing a meaningful interest type of a rate here at this point too. So we are getting the income off of that. The idea is to lower down the correlations of the investments, as we know from modern portfolio theory and the tenets of that. We want to have the diversification. We want to lower down the correlation of those investments inside by as much as possible so that we're getting positive returns, but lower volatility over time, meant to provide that steady stream of outpacing inflation and keeping up with our spending on an ongoing perpetuity types of basis.
Right. So to build on that a little bit, Ero, we use a pooled structure. You mentioned that a moment ago. Can you explain that a little bit to our audience? I want our donors to understand that they have a fund at Waccamaw, but that fund is in a pooled investment. It's not its own little account.
Yes, correct. Exactly. Yeah. So what you're getting is you're getting the best of both worlds when you have a pooled type of a structure, because Waccamaw Community Foundation is actually providing the fund accounting, so a donor can take a look and say, this is how much I've put into it, here's how much comes out of it, and have that direct impact and know exactly how it's structured. But from an investment standpoint, we can take at full advantage of the economies of scale and scope that come along with a larger pool of money. So, and again, just to reiterate, that really does come down to we get institutional share classes, we get institutional pricing on the types of investments that we're being able to bring into it. We get best-in-class execution because we're doing this for the entire pool at one time for any types of trading. So we're getting a much better trading structure within that as well. And we have the ability to access different types of investments that may not be available to individuals at a much lower threshold type of a level. So we're able to put the investments all in one, look at it from an aggregate, manage it as a larger foundation, and really take advantage of that. So the benefit, one of the key benefits to donors is that not only are you able to participate in this as an individual, but every single one of the donors that you have is treated exactly the same. Every dollar is exactly the same, regardless of how much comes into it. Every single one of the donors maximizes their impact at an institutional type of a structure and for that pricing and with those available investments altogether.
Yep. That's great information. Thank you, Ero. So, Ero, we've kind of already touched on a little bit, the governance part of this, but let's dive a little deeper in there and talk a little bit about how this operates. So, Waccamaw has an investment committee that meets with you every quarter to review our performance. And then once a year, at least once a year, we look at that IPS agreement and really make sure that we're continuing to be on track. Talk a little bit about that process.
Yeah, absolutely. So number one, I think in there is that part of the fiduciary process for the board and for the finance committee as a subset of the board is really to have that ongoing due diligence over the investments themselves. So that includes clear and accurate types of reporting, it includes benchmarking against broad policy, as well as targets in the portfolio itself. We even use peer analysis. It also includes such things as we want to make sure that this is really a robust structure for the investments themselves and it is optimized to our long-term targets. So, making sure that we have the investment distribution schedule and the spending policy structured accordingly to what Waccamaw needs to do for the community impact. And then making sure the asset allocation fits that in a most optimized types of a way. So that includes analysis that we're doing on behalf and sharing and reviewing thoroughly with the finance committee, including stress testing, capital market assumptions that we're coming in there and using mean variance optimization. So in other words, Monte Carlo simulation to really take a look at different portfolios. What is the most optimized to what's called an efficiency frontier? So how do we get the maximum return for the minimum amount of risk with any given combination of the underlying investments? So those are all part of the reporting that we do, the annual reviews that we're doing, based off of the latest capital market assumptions and forward projections for the markets, as well as historical analysis to it. But all of that combines into having the best possible allocation structure for Waccamaw Community Foundation that then is embodied in the investment policy statement. That's then reviewed with a lot of discussion and interaction between ourselves and the finance committee to make sure that we're always on track, that reporting is clear, accurate, and is coming through on their behalf and on behalf of all donors. So that's the primary part of the investment policy statement that we're involved with Waccamaw, and very much a robust process that's part of the governance and stewardship and oversight of the board.
Yeah. Well, and I will add to that our board has even taken one step further. We may be a smaller community foundation, but we think big. And one of the things is we've partnered with an organization called Clearview that also lets us look at about 150 of our community foundation peers, and we actually do performance analysis against their performance to see how we stack up against some of the like-sized community foundations in the market or in the country. So from a board perspective, from an administrative perspective, we're also keeping an eye on, so is what we're working on aligning with what's happening elsewhere. So I think that's just an extra step that we've added to governance.
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of organizations do that?
We do, in fact, and we have Clearview as a partner with several organizations that I work with personally, and for our institution and our division with quite a few others as well. So yeah, peer analysis is very helpful to understand exactly the lay of the land, not to say that every community foundation is the same, because they're not, and not to say that every endowment and foundation is the same, but it's nice to know how things are structured and how it's been working for others as well. So the peer analysis is part of that ongoing review. So we consider that to be an important part of the overall governance and due diligence process on an ongoing basis. Due diligence doesn't stop with just the selection of a partner organization to work with. It's an ongoing process and it's iterative. The peer review using like a group like Clearview works very well in there.
Well, thanks for that feedback. So Ero, the next thing I want to kind of talk about is what all of this means for the average donor. At the end of the day, we've got donors listening today, and we want them to have some confidence in this model. So how does how does this allow the foundation to do its daily work? Is kind of part of it, and at the same time give the donors confidence that they've invested well with their giving dollars.
Yeah, good question. I would say that one of the best things that WCF has going for it is a very robust governance process. So this is a fiduciary process. The way that it's structured, and again, canonized in the investment policy statement, is very much structured on behalf of the donors to really maximize the impact that their dollars are having into the community directly. The process is really a best-in-class type of a structure that we partner with you on for the investment management to those optimized returns, and with more balancing along the edges to help mitigate some of that volatility, allow a more steady stream of money to be coming out over time. This is a time-tested process that's gone through many, many cycles. Again, our division has been around doing this exact for 40 years with our nonprofit clients and had tremendous success. As a matter of fact, our average client tenure is over 18 years at this point, which is typically through multiple due diligence processes as well. We know that we've got a system that's structured to best meet your needs, and it's the partnership that's really the most important aspect of it, because that level of partnership makes sure that the investments are always structured to the best needs and optimized to what the donor's intent is, and to maximize out that community impact.
Yeah. And I will add, as the leader of the Waccamaw Community Foundation, I would much rather spend my time with my donors and helping them focus on their giving and where that giving is going, and working with our nonprofits, than doing your job of managing all of that. Your work allows us to do our work in the community, and at the end of the day, it's all about maximizing the input, and the words I'm looking for here is just the overall advantage of helping our community, and not having to worry about the back room. So
Yeah, I think it's the partnership that allows that to really maximize everybody's best use in the community and the impact that it has to the community. And all sides are working together in unison on this. It's a partnership that works and makes a big difference. So
Sure
we're
does.
proud to be part of that partnership.
we're glad to have you as a partner. All right. So, Ero, final thoughts. What stands out to you about the Waccamaw Community Foundation as you partnered with us, and just kind of want to get your feedback on what you see?
Yeah. So one of the things that I would say that we've noticed most is this clarity of vision and real understanding of the community and of needs going into the future that WCF has. Waccamaw is really best suited to be completely dialed in to the community. We've noticed this over the years, and in how you work on the best intentions of the donors to really get that impact out there. The word impact is used all the time, and it's actually this clarity of vision that really comes through on behalf of your donors for the community that I think is really, so profound in working with WCF. So we're thrilled to be a part of that process. I get to experience it myself and see what that impact looks like on a local basis. So I would encourage your donors to really sit down, talk with you, understand what that impact has been, because it's big, and we're happy to be a part of that process.
We sure appreciate it, and really we appreciate the partnership that allows us to do the work that we do, and hopefully for our donors and folks watching today, this kind of gives you a little behind the scenes peek of how things operate in a community foundation. I think it's kind of a mystery for most. The money goes in, money goes out, but we don't know exactly how the sausage is made. So today, Ero, you allowed us to peek inside, and I appreciate you doing that for us today.
And it's been a pleasure to partner, and we appreciate it and look forward to many more years.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And just thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you tuning into the podcast. Please share the podcast with your friends, and you all have a great day.